So Dana, you looked at the development of the internet and how people use it, and you've looked really closely at that. And can you talk about what's truly different, today versus 15, 20 years ago, and how that difference might actually expand going into the future?
Yeah. In a broadcast era, you consumed information that was given to you. You turned to, TV or a newspaper or a book, and you got this packaged content that you consumed and worked out with among your peers, among the people within your community. What the network society has done is sort of shifted this around and allowed for an interplay. And this is where we see concepts like participatory culture become really important. You're no longer just a passive consumer of information, but you're both a creator of information and a person whose response to the information that circulates starts to shape that whole process. And it's both terrifying for people who are actually creating media, but also really empowering for people who are actually able to engage in that. Meanwhile, you have people that have the ability to connect to other people at scale, across distance, across time, in unprecedented ways. You have the ability to connect to information in unprecedented ways.
With so many voices, so many different facts, and my facts and your facts, and all sorts of confusion, you've talked a bit about how trust is changing. And if you think about organizations that are aimed at bringing about social change, and who do so from an institutional perspective, and who in effect depend on earning some trust, what's the challenge for those organizations, and how are they going to accomplish that?
I think the biggest challenge is to step away from seeing yourself as the entity on high who can throw out information and knowledge and just build trust by the people down below, and figure out how to actually walk in and be a part of those networks. And it's really about appreciating the beauty of grassroots and being a part of the grassroots conversation. It's about living and breathing with the peoples you're trying to actually affect and influence, and building out networks that flow back. Just like we saw this magical shift from a broadcast-oriented dynamic to a very networked dynamic in terms of everyday interactions, we need to do the same thing organizationally. And nowhere is that clearer than with foundations who have this awesome opportunity and responsibility to figure out actually how to be a part of the conversation and to make certain that the people whose lives they're trying to affect are also part of those conversations. Not just by creating sound bites of those people, but by making certain that those conversations are ongoing, that it is an ongoing process. Functionally, a lot of what it means is that organizations need to take account for all of their own networks. Start paying attention to the networks that they're building. Start mapping those networks. Finding ways in which they can really build on. They can call on people. They can say, hey, how do we make change? And do that organizationally so that you can see the organic results come back.
How can you imagine that a network society will lead to a culture that values health and that acts on that value?
I don't know that it's the network society that will do it, but the people who are a part of the network society who make a decision that health is important and start influencing the people around them. And that's where I think that it's about consciousness raising. It's about making certain that there are people who realize this, but not only realize this, but are willing to inform the people around them. That's where the network society creates potential. Because when you have people who care and they're willing to turn because it matters to other people, that's where they can use the tools that are around them to make a difference. That's what you're really aiming for. You're aiming to affect influencers. You're aiming to affect the people who care about health, even one aspect of health, and saying, hey, not only engage yourself, not only get up to speed on this for yourself, but help make certain that the people around you are more informed. And that's about turning away from the individual outcomes of health to really thinking about the social levels of health and making certain that the people around you, the people that you care for, are participating in this as well.